Human blood splattered over the alien overseer's chitinous carapace after he crushed Bruce Campbell's dog for entering a restricted area. Over his dead friend, Bruce swore the Komar Empire would feel the raw hate of humanity burning their worlds. With every human life now hanging by the thin thread of an enraged ex-Marine, Bruce struggled to contain his rage. He stared at the blood-stained floor where his retired military dog Max, his only friend, lay beaten to a pulp by a sadistic insect overlord. Bruce's mind churned, fighting to process the enormity of the alien's betrayal and cruelty. His teeth clenched and his knuckles cracked. Bruce worked as a security contractor on Kepler 186F, a mining colony under the thumb of the Komar, bug-like rulers with glittering black shells and a ruthless disdain for lesser races. They expected humans to grovel at their feet. All humans could do was humbly obey the heartless insectoids, until Bruce realized the horrifying scope of the Komar's evil. Returning to his quarters, Bruce found Max vanished, only to discover the dog's broken corpse tossed into garbage like trash. Grief and fury clawed his insides, burning like molten lava. The culprit, Kalar, an overseer as tall as two men atop one another, told Bruce the sick truth. Max paid the price for his owner daring to question Kalar's authority. No human dared threaten the Komar. They just muttered curses under their breath while bowing their heads, but that ended when Bruce, tears streaming, pressed the barrel of his pulse rifle to Kalar's face, vowing the soulless roach would regret harming a human's friend. Kalar spat, hurling a final taunt. All humans here would be dissected in secret tests hidden behind the mining operation. Unless Bruce stopped them, the Komar would keep butchering people and pets alike, thinking themselves untouchable. Bruce knew the Komar had to pay, and the humans on Kepler 186F had to break the insectoid's iron grip on the colony before it was too late. This Cold War between races just went hot. With fury burning in his gut from Max's brutal murder and the Komar's evil deeds, Bruce punched in the communications code to reach his old commanding officer, Admiral Hackett. The EDF leader's square-jawed face materialized on the hollow screen. "Bruce, you look like hell. What's going on?" Hackett asked gruffly. "Admiral, the Komar are evil fuckers. They killed Max, my dog, crushed him like garbage. And the mining operation is a front. They're doing sick experiments on humans in secret," Bruce spat out, his voice shaking with rage. "Genetic experiments, trying to make super soldiers." Hackett's eyes narrowed. "Jesus Christ, all right, send me everything you've got. I'll investigate it ASAP. In the meantime, keep digging, soldier. Get me hard evidence." Bruce nodded curtly. "Roger that, sir." Over the next days, Bruce used every skill from his Marine days to hack the Komar's encrypted databases. He stole biological samples from their labs, smuggling them out in his jacket. The files he uncovered made his blood run cold. The roaches planned to merge human DNA with their own, to create hybrid abominations with a human's brawn and a Komar's brains. These freaks would be weapons to help the Komar conquer the galaxy and enslave humanity. Bruce compiled the damning evidence and pinged it to Hackett. The Admiral's reply was terse. "Got it. Bringing this to the Galactic Council. Stand by." Hours later, Bruce watched the Council's emergency session on the news. Admiral Hackett presented Bruce's evidence to the assembled alien delegates. The Komar representative, a high-ranking roach named Zorkan, spluttered feeble excuses that convinced no one. The Council voted swift action was needed. The news anchor reported, "In an unprecedented move, the Council has authorized a special operation, assigning a human named Bruce Campbell to infiltrate a secret Komar facility." Bruce cracked his knuckles. This was it. The Council was entrusting him to take those bastard roaches down. He was the only human with the skills and balls to pull it off. Hackett sent a simple message. "You've got the green light. Fuck 'em up good." Memories of Max's broken body flashed through Bruce's mind. He would have his vengeance, and he would make the Komar regret the day they fucked with humanity. Bruce donned the sleek black armor provided by the EDF, its surface etched with barely visible lines of circuitry. He slipped the neural implant behind his ear, wincing as it burrowed into his skin and connected to his brain. The device would allow him to understand and speak the Komar's language, giving him a crucial advantage in his infiltration. With his cloaking device activated, Bruce slipped through the shadows of the Komar homeworld, his footsteps silent on the alien soil. He approached the main research facility, a towering structure of gleaming metal and pulsing energy fields. Using his forged documents and newfound linguistic skills, Bruce posed as Krazon, a Komar scientist assigned to the project. The guards at the entrance, their chitinous armor bristling with weapons, scanned his credentials and waved him through. Once inside, Bruce found himself in a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, each more unsettling than the last. In one section, he stumbled upon a horrific sight. Human test subjects strapped to operating tables, their bodies cut open and infused with Komar technology. Some had chitinous plates grafted onto their skin, while others had multiple insectoid limbs sprouting from their torsos. Their screams echoed through the halls, a testament to the Komar's cruelty. Bruce's stomach churned, but he forced himself to document the atrocities with his hidden camera. He moved deeper into the facility, his heart pounding as he entered a vast chamber filled with rows upon rows of stasis pods. Inside each pod floated a grotesque hybrid creature, part human, part Komar. Bruce realized with growing horror that the Komar were building an army of super soldiers designed to crush any resistance to their rule. As he recorded the evidence, a familiar voice behind him made his blood run cold. "Krazon, what brings you to this section?" Kellar asked, his compound eyes narrowing with suspicion. Bruce turned slowly, his neural implant translating his words into perfect Komar speech. "I was assigned to monitor the progress of the hybridization process," he said smoothly, hoping his cover would hold. Kellar stepped closer, his clawed hand resting on the plasma rifle at his hip. "I don't recall seeing your name on the project roster," he said, his tone laced with menace. "Let me see your identification again." Bruce handed over his forged documents, his heart racing as Kellar scrutinized them. The overseer's mandibles twitched, and Bruce knew he had noticed something amiss. "Wait here," Kellar ordered, his voice cold. "I need to verify this with Central Command." As Kellar turned to leave, Bruce knew his time was running out. He had to act fast or his mission would be compromised. Slipping away from the chamber, he hastily planted the explosive charges he had brought, setting them to detonate on a remote signal. He hurried through the facility, his mind racing as he planned his escape. If he could just make it out before Kellar raised the alarm, he could blow this place to hell and strike a blow against the Komar's twisted ambitions. But if he was caught, he knew there would be no mercy, no rescue. He would die here, light years from home, with only the memory of Max's broken body to comfort him in his final moments. As Bruce crept through the cavernous chamber, his thumb hovered over the detonator. He was seconds from blowing this hellhole sky high and getting the hell out, but a cold, familiar voice stopped him in his tracks. "Krazon, or should I say Bruce Campbell?" Bruce spun around. Zorkan, the slimy Komar bureaucrat from the council meeting, emerged from the shadows. His compound eyes glittered with malice. "So you didn't really think your little charade would fool us, did you? We've been on to you from the start," Zorkan said, his mandibles clicking. Bruce's blood ran cold. They knew. This whole mission was a setup. Zorkan circled him, gloating. "These experiments are just the beginning. Soon the Komar will rule the galaxy, with our hybrid army leading the charge. And you, Bruce, you could be a part of that glorious future." Disgust churned in Bruce's gut. "You seriously think I'd join you? After what you did to Max, to all those innocent people?" Zorkan's eyes narrowed. "Then you've sealed your fate." He barked an order in the Komar tongue. Kellar burst in, a dozen soldiers in tow, pulse rifles trained on Bruce. "Take him!" Zorkan spat. Bruce dove behind a console as plasma bolts sizzled overhead. He drew his sidearm and returned fire, dropping 2 roaches with clean headshots. Kellar charged, swinging a shock baton. Bruce ducked and swept his legs. sending the overseer crashing to the floor. He stomped Kalar's head, green ichor spraying. More Komar poured in, forcing Bruce back. His armor deflected their shots, but he couldn't last forever. It was now or never. Bruce stabbed the detonator. For a split second, nothing happened. Then a deafening boom shook the chamber. Explosions ripped through the facility, walls crumbling and equipment erupting in flames. Zorkan screamed in rage. He lunged at Bruce, all pretense of civility gone. They grappled, Bruce's human strength against Zorkan's exoskeleton. The bureaucrat was shockingly strong. His claws raked Bruce's face, drawing blood. Bruce headbutted him, feeling the crunch of chitin. Zorkan staggered back, murder in his eyes. He lashed out again, but another explosion knocked them apart, a support beam slamming down between them. Klaxons blared as the facility collapsed around them. Zorkan howled, trapped behind a wall of rubble. Bruce didn't waste his chance. He ran, racing through crumbling halls as fire nipped his heels. Bruce burst from the collapsing facility, his heart pounding. Fire and shrapnel rained down. He sprinted for the landing pad where Komar ships gleamed. Plasma bolts sizzled past him from the few remaining Roach soldiers. Bruce dove into the nearest craft, a sleek shuttle. His hands flew over the controls, the engines roared to life. The shuttle rocketed into the sky as the research facility crumbled into a billowing cloud of dust and flames behind him. Bruce punched in coordinates for human space, pushing the engines to their limit. Every muscle ached. Blood ran into his eyes from a gash on his forehead, but he was alive, he'd done it. As the shuttle hurtled through the void, Bruce hailed Admiral Hackett on a secure channel. The Admiral's grizzled face appeared on the view screen. "Bruce, my God, you look like shit. What happened?" "Mission accomplished, sir," Bruce said, wincing as he shifted in his seat. "The Komar's facility is destroyed, along with any sick experiments they were running. But, Admiral, there's something else." Bruce took a deep breath. "The Komar, they're planning something big. Zorkan said this was just the beginning. We need to stop them now, before it's too late." Hackett's expression turned grave. "I'll inform the Council immediately. We'll send a fleet to the Komar homeworld, bring their leaders to justice. You've done good, son." Bruce managed a tight smile. "Thank you, sir. Bruce out." The channel went dark. Bruce slumped back, his adrenaline fading. He thought of all the lives the Komar had twisted and destroyed in the name of their sick ambition. And Max. Bruce's heart ached at the memory of his loyal companion, crushed under Kilar's boot. Tears stung his eyes. At least now maybe Max could rest in peace. A sudden proximity alert jolted Bruce from his thoughts. He checked the sensors, expecting to see the Council fleet approaching the Komar homeworld, but what he saw made his blood run cold. The Komar planet was gone. In its place was a roiling mass of debris and molten rock. Bruce's heart stopped. It couldn't be. Hail from Admiral Hackett broke through the static. The Admiral's face was ashen. "Bruce, the Komar, they destroyed their own planet. Some kind of doomsday weapon. We're too late." Bruce couldn't speak. His mind reeled, the Komar obliterated, an entire species snuffed out in an instant, because of him, because of what he'd done. "The Council is classifying the whole thing," Hackett said softly. "Covering it up, they say it's for the best to prevent panic." Bruce barely heard him. He stared at the view screen, at the shattered remains of the Komar homeworld. His vengeance had led to genocide. The weight of it threatened to crush him. "What do I do now, sir?" Bruce asked, his voice hollow. Hackett sighed. "Go home, son. You've done enough, more than enough." The screen went blank. Bruce sat in silence, numb. Home. He had no home anymore. Just the cold emptiness of space, and the memory of all he'd lost, of all he'd destroyed. Bruce set a course for the fringes of known space, where he could lose himself among the stars, where he could try to forget the horrors he'd witnessed, the lives he'd shattered. But deep down, he knew he'd never forget. He'd carry the weight of it, the guilt, for the rest of his days. As the shuttle drifted through the endless expanse, Bruce closed his eyes, seeing Max's face in his mind, seeing the ruins of the Komar homeworld, seeing the blood on his own hands. He'd gotten his revenge, but at what cost? Had it been worth it in the end? Bruce wasn't sure. All he knew was that he'd keep flying, keep searching for absolution in the cold depths of space, until the day the void finally swallowed him whole. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.